Hi guys, today's video is another get ready with me using products that are already in my collection. The lipstick that I'm going to use is a fairly new release, and I'm also going to use a Bobbi Brown blusher again. I did a video on those, it's probably about 3 weeks ago now, because I got all 5 shades and I have been using them quite a bit. I do think they are really beautiful, so I pulled out a shade to use today. I've done all my skincare for the morning, the last step being sunscreen. I've still got to apply primer, and today I'm going to use the Victoria Beckham. It is called the Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer. This was gifted to me. I have used this a few times. I think this is a really beautiful primer. Those of you that haven't seen my other videos, I am 53 years old and I have oily skin, so I wasn't too sure how this primer would go since it is more of a moisturizing one. And I've used it a few times with different foundations. The foundation I'm going to use today is a more matte one. So with my oily skin, I do think this goes better with a foundation that is more matte. I think if I was using one that had much more of a glow to it or a dewy finish, I probably wouldn't reach for this one. But in saying that, I think the finish of this primer is just beautiful, and I think it gives a really good, beautiful canvas before you put your foundation on. So with my primers, not just this one, all my primers, I usually just let them sit for about a minute before I put on my foundation. So for foundation, I'm going to use the Dior. This is the 24-hour wear one. This is the more matte. I also have this in glow. I love both of these foundations. It is summer here in New Zealand at the moment, but it is a little bit, well, the temperature's dropped quite a bit today actually, but I'm still going to wear this. It's probably going to warm up later in the afternoon, and I do want my foundation to last all day. This is in the new formula, and I only just recently picked this up, and I don't know why I waited so long. I think the new formula in this is absolutely gorgeous. This is in the shade 2.5N. I'm going to just put a pump on the back of my hand, and I'm going to put it on using a beauty blender. This does have a fragrance. I love the fragrances in the Dior foundations. I think they're really lovely. I just think this gives such a beautiful finish, this foundation, and it wears so well on my mature oily skin for this time of the year. I've worn it quite a few times, and yesterday I went out, it might have been the day before, I went out for the whole day and I chose this foundation, and it just looked really, really beautiful all day. So at the start of this year, I did one of these videos using products that are in my collection, and I did say I was going to try and get one out a week, and I'm trying to do that. So this video will probably be put amongst the other videos that I'm going to be putting out this week. There is a few new releases at the moment, so I've got to get those out as well. But I really enjoy doing these videos, and from the comments that I've received, people like seeing them too, and it reminds them sometimes of products that they've got. There's also a lot of my subscribers that have a large makeup collection, and if I pull out products that I tend to reach for with my everyday makeup, it reminds them that they have it in there as well. The eyeshadows that I'm going to use today, I'm going to use 2 different Dior quints together, and I've used them together a few times, and I think they look really lovely together. I just think that this foundation just gives such a beautiful finish to my skin. I love it so much that I'd probably put it up there. It would definitely sit in my top 5, if not my top 3. I think the finish is so lovely that I really love that Guerlain foundation that was released last year. Well, it was released in Europe and the UK and here in New Zealand, and I absolutely love that. I think this is comparable to that, the finish of it. I think it is really, really beautiful. So for concealer today, I'm going to use another new release of Dior. It's just a reformulation, and I've only recently picked it up. And it is their Forever, it is their Skin Correct Concealer. This is in the shade 2.5N as well. Now, I have the original formula, and I did use it, but I mainly used it for spot concealing over my face if I think they needed any more coverage. I did use it under my eyes sometimes, but it wasn't a favorite of mine. Those of you that watch my videos know that my favorite concealer at the moment is the Chanel Sublimage. I do think that is really beautiful. So as soon as this arrived in the mail, I think I got it last week or the week before, I tried it on and I absolutely love it. I think this is beautiful. The reformulation of this, I think it's more moisturizing than the original one. And the original one was always just a little bit too thick. I could wear it under my eyes, but it just wasn't one that I reached for a lot. This is different. I think this is beautiful. And the whole extra skincare ingredients that they've put in here has really made a difference. For me, I just think this is a really, really beautiful concealer. So I'm just going to, just like with all the other concealers that I use, I'm just going to dot a little bit in the inner corner. And then either I can use a brush to initially spread it out, or I can use my beauty blender, and then I always finish it off by tapping over it with my fingers. So today I'm going to use my beauty blender just to spread the product out. But as I said, I will go over with my finger. It is the preferred method for me when I put on concealer. I just find that it melds into the skin just that little bit better. So I think this concealer gives really good coverage, and I love the fact that it is so moisturizing. It looks really beautiful under my eyes, and I find that it lasts beautifully throughout the day as well. It is really, really lovely. And this concealer is $40 US. I think that is a really good price for a concealer. When I recently reviewed the new Tom Ford one, I did a price breakdown. I reviewed the Tom Ford concealer next to the Clair, but I also mentioned in there another concealer that I really love as well. And I did a price breakdown per gram, and the Chanel Sublimage came out the best, even though it's more initially expensive. I think it's around about $95, but of course that comes with 10 grams of product. So this for $40 US, the concealer, I think that is a pretty good price point for a luxury concealer, and I think it is really, really gorgeous. So I'm just using the same eyebrow pencil that I use every day. This is the Chanel Longwear one, and this is in the shade Brun Clair. They are going to be releasing, I think, is it 2 or 3 new ones fairly soon, or they are released, I think, in the UK and some places in Europe. They're going to be in New Zealand around about the 2nd of March. I really love this shade. I may pick up one of the new shades. I'll probably get my SA to swatch them for me and send me a photo next to Brun Clair. And if there's one that's fairly close, I'll probably pick that one up, but I'll just have to wait till I see the swatches of them. And then for the eyebrow gel, this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills. I also use the Benefit one as well. It's just that I had a spare one of these in my drawer, so I just decided I needed to use it. And I really like this gel. It's not crunchy and it keeps my eyebrows in place. And for my eyeshadow primer, I'm going to just use the MAC Paint Pot, and this is in the shade Painterly. And then I'll just set it down. This is the Makeup by Mario. I can never remember the name of it. It's called the Master Eye Prep and Set in medium. And I just use a little bit of product. I'm just going to wipe the excess off and just do a light dusting over the eyeshadow primer with my oily skin, I just need it to set down. And then to powder under my eyes, I'm just going to take a little bit of the Westman Atelier, the Vital Press skincare powder. This is in the shade Creme. And just press just the tiniest amount underneath. It's really just enough just to set the concealer. I've talked about it so many times before on my videos, but I do love this powder. And as I've said before, it's really no good for the rest of my face with my oily skin, but for under my eyes, it's absolutely perfect. It sets without drying them out. I really, really love it. And for the powder today, I'm going to use the newly released. It's the Christian Dior. This is from the Mitza collection. This powder is beautiful. It's in the shade Rose. Does come with the little sponge inside, but I'm going to put it on with a brush, and I'm going to use a Sonia G. This is the face one, and just swirl it around in there, and I buff it in. This is a really, really beautiful powder. Now I do want to buy a backup of this, and this is on the Dior site in New Zealand, but the Dior website doesn't always want to work with me. Sometimes I can add things into cart and check out and everything's fine because the products come from Australia and their delivery is super fast. It's just that sometimes I'll put a product into the basket and then it says there's an error loading, and that can happen for a day or two, and then I'll go back again and it will be fine. So sometimes it's a little bit glitchy. Now I have heard from other people that the website, and that's the website in the US and in other places, that can be glitchy for other people as well. Most of the time it does work. It's just every now and then there is a little bit of a glitch, but I think what I'll do is go in today because they still have this available, and I really do want to get a backup of it because I absolutely love it. So I'll have a look at the website again today and see if it will work with me, and I'll order another powder. And for bronzer today, I'm going to use the Victoria Beckham. This is the bronzing brick. This is in the shade 02. I also have the shade 03, and the shade 03 was gifted to me. This is one I purchased myself, and I will be doing a video in the near future using all the products that, well, not all of them, but the majority of the products that were gifted to me from Victoria Beckham Beauty. I do love their products. I think they're really beautiful. So this is the Sonia G brush. This brush is called the Jumbo Bronzer. I picked it up about, well, actually I purchased it probably about 2 months ago, and then typical with Beautylish, it took at least a month to get here. So I've had this probably for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I think it is a really, really, really lovely brush. Now, I probably prefer the Niji Pro more. This is the one that I normally use in my videos. Probably the Niji Pro is a little bit softer, but this is still soft, and I think it does apply the product really, really beautifully. So I just sweep between the 2 shades in the bronzing brick. I love this Victoria Beckham bronzer. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. It applies beautifully, and it just blends out beautifully as well. This is the first time I think I've used this Sonia G brush with it. Normally I use, as I said, the Niji Pro, but this brush is blending it out really lovely as well. So now we'll get on to eyeshadow, and I'm going to use 2 different Dior quints. And like with all my other videos, everything that I've put on my face today, I will have listed and linked in the description box below. So the 2 Dior quints that I'm going to use is Golden Bouquet. This came out last year, and I pair it, not all the time, I use Golden Bouquet by itself. I think it is a really, really beautiful quint, and it does have more pigment than I thought it was going to. This is just absolutely gorgeous, and I did a dedicated video on this. And the one that I pair it with, and usually just use one shadow from this, so I do most of the eye makeup using the Golden Bouquet, and then I add a shade from the Grand Ball quint. because this quint has more sparkle in it. So if I put this on and decide I just want a little bit more sparkle, then I reach for the Grand Ball. Now when I did my initial video using the Golden Bouquet, I did think then that these two quints would pair beautifully together, and they do. I think they are just gorgeous together. So I'm going to start off with the Golden Bouquet, and I'm going to take my Sonia G brush. This is the Classic Crease, and I'm going to start off with this shade here, and I'm just going to put this all over the lid, and I'll take it up fairly high as well. This is a very light shade. Then I'm going to take my Rapper number 14, and I'm going to go into this shade here, and I'm going to put this through the crease just to slightly deepen it, and take it slightly above the crease as well. Then I'm going to stay with the Rapper number 14 brush, and I'm going to go into the deepest colour here, and I'm going to put that just in the outer corner, and I'm going to put it through the crease and take it slightly above as well. This middle shade is really pigmented, so I'm just going to go fairly easy. I don't want this all over my lid. I want it mainly just on the outer corner. I'll take it over a little bit, and then I'll just sweep it in the crease and above as well. I'm going to take the Sonia G. This is a soft definer. I'm going to stay with this darker shade. Now this is quite pigmented, so I'm just going to just tap it on the cloth in front of me just to get rid of excess shadow, and I'm going to put this on my lower lash line. And then I'm going to go into the Grand Ball quint, and I think I'll use this shade here. I'm just going to put it on using my finger. This is more of a topper shade, and put it through here. And it just gives that beautiful sparkle, and it's not too much. It's still, for me, suitable for a daytime look. I think it's really beautiful. So I'll just put some over here. And then I'm going to take the sponge tip applicator, and I'm just going to stay with the shade. And I'm going to just run a little bit through here. And I also pop just a little bit of that shade, just using the sponge tip as well. Just a little bit in the inner corner. So I think for eyeliner today, I did bring out an eyeliner, but really the shadow, or either one in either quint, they are dark enough to use as an eyeliner and give me some definition on my upper lash line. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my Hodo brush, and I'm going to use this to define my upper lash line. And then what I usually do is just grab a fluffy brush, and I just go over just to make sure there's no hard edges. And I also do this sometimes on my lower lash line as well. Now this brush is a little bit too big, but if I wipe down the soft definer one, this is very soft, and it's small enough just so I can make sure that everything's all blended. And for mascara today, I'm going to use the Chanel Le Volume one. I do have one that was gifted to me from Victoria Beckham Beauty. I think I used that in my last video. So I'll use the Chanel Le Volume. I've just got to turn this mirror around so I'm on the magnified side so I can see what I'm doing. And for blush, I'm going to use one of the new Bobbi Brown ones. As I was saying at the beginning of the video, I did a dedicated review on these blushes. I picked up all 5 shades. I've been reaching for them a lot. I'm not quite sure which is my favorite one. I tried this one again the other day, this shade, and I just thought it was gorgeous. Now this is in the shade, this is Blushed Peach, It's really beautiful. So I'm just going to take my Chocohodo brush. This is the F03, and you can use them separately. You can go into the shade first and then go into the highlighters and put that up here. What I tend to do though is I just swirl between all the 3 shades. It is such a beautiful blush, this one. I just love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Now this peach one is quite subtle. I find that I just have to go in again just to build it up a little bit, but once it's built up, it is just beautiful. Now the one in Coral that is more pigmented, I hardly even have to swirl in the pan much at all, and you get a lot of payoff. But I think this shade is beautiful, and like I was saying, I'm not quite sure which is my favorite one. I had been gravitating towards the pink, and also it's called the Blush Bronze, but now that I've been using this one, I really love this shade too. I think it's just gorgeous. The Blush Burgundy is beautiful too, although I think that'll be more suited for me in the winter time, but that is a gorgeous shade too. And for the lipstick, I'm going to use new Hermes one. This is in the shade Corail Parasol. This is the shiny lip formula. It's not very pigmented. It is a beautiful shade though, and it is buildable, and I think it gives a beautiful shine on the lips. The packaging of these is just gorgeous. These are now for sale. This one I picked up from Selfridges, but they're now for sale in New Zealand here as well. So I think the finished look is absolutely gorgeous. Either of these quints on their own are beautiful. Together they are really gorgeous too. I love the sparkle from the Grand Ball. It's subtle, but it still gives this beautiful ethereal sparkle. I just think it's gorgeous. I am in love with this new Forever Dior foundation. Well, it's new to me, the one that was reformulated last year. I think it's gorgeous. I think it gives such a beautiful finish to my skin, as well as the concealer. I think it is gorgeous, and it looks really good under my eyes. I think it is super flattering for my mature skin. Really happy with it, and I'm thrilled that I've picked it up. Really, really lovely. The shade of this Bobbi Brown blush is just beautiful. As I was saying, it's a little bit more subtle when you first put it on, but it is definitely buildable, and I think it is gorgeous. I am in love with these blushes, and I am so pleased I picked up all 5 shades. I just love them. And this new lipstick by Hermes I think is lovely. It isn't hugely pigmented. It has a really beautiful shine to it though. And when it comes to this type of shade with lipsticks, I do like them on the more subtle side. I just think that's more flattering for me. And altogether, I just think that it is really, really lovely. So that's it for today's video. I'd love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.